And welcome everyone to another episode of Next Round Sports. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. This is Chris Porter, joined by my partners in crime, Jeff Amos and Caleb Culver. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Yeah, good.
I'm not wearing a Rangers helmet right now. There's a reason.
Yes, and we will
Yeah,
get to that
for some
here in
reason.
just a moment. In just a
Mr.
moment.
Pessimistic.
We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot of Rangers information to talk about. We've got college football, which is now underway and good to go.
Mhm.
We got a lot to talk about in there. And on top of that, other little specklings in the sports gumbo that we'll throw in as well. But also the big news, the NFL starts in 2 days. We're recording this on Tuesday night. We've got a sleep tonight and a sleep tomorrow, and we are back to NFL
The
football.
true start of football.
And I have bold bets.
And we're ready to get deep into that. I've got my 90s Cowboys hat on, ready to go. So
is it
ready for the season to get going?
Is it their year again?
As a Cowboys fan, it's always their year.
We will see.
And Jerry will blow it for us, as every Cowboys fan will say. We will see. There's a lot of anticipation this year, but let's go ahead and get to the next round.
Very true. Very true.
And we're going to go ahead and start with the Texas Rangers. And Jeff is gnawing at the bit to jump and unleash on the Texas Rangers.
Let's get the bad news out first. Go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead. Take it away. Take it away.
Are you talking about tonight or in general? They're down 14-1 right now.
Enjoy your time to rant about the Rangers and how bad they are, and that this is the most epic collapse you've ever seen. And
it really is, because it's not even comparable. I mean, I've never really seen a team. Look, we've seen gradual declines and gradual slides. But
do you not remember the collapse where we lost the wild card game to Baltimore? That was the collapse.
This is not even on the level of that.
Bad.
This is not even at the level of that. This team is atrocious. This team will not make the playoffs now. The season is absolutely over. They don't have a bullpen anymore. Their starting pitching is gone. And their lineup, all you can really count on is Corey Seager. You cannot count on Mitch Garver being Mike Piazza every single freaking day. This season is over. And look, it was a great run. We played well, but I mean this season is over because the Blue Jays are just too good with their starting pitching. The Astros are too good now. They're fully healthy, as we discussed ad nauseum these past couple of weeks. Seattle has one of the best rotations, if not the best rotation.
Well, let me hold you up there, Jeff.
First off, 3 Cy Young candidates in Seattle with
Jeff. Hold on. First off,
with Gilbert,
fuck Toronto,
Kirby, and Luis.
Toronto ain't gonna do jack crap.
Okay, well, so what happens though?
No, you've got 3 wild cards.
Monday,
you have 3 wild cards.
Starting
You're going to say
Monday,
it's completely over with. They have a chance at a wild card. Division lead, I'll agree with you. That's not looking like it's going to happen. Division leads or division title's gone. But wild card, there's still a shot at the wild card. I mean, by the end of the day, they might be a half a game back, but there's 3 of them.
Especially back when Toronto goes into Oakland.
And don't be Debbie Downer here on the Rangers about not making the playoffs. When you're Washington Nationals, who are 10 games out of the wild card, you still have hope that they can still make that. There's still a lot of baseball left to play.
I don't have any hope. I never had any
hope.
Well,
you had last week.
Even bringing it
from last week where he was, we got hope. We got a chance. Tell us there's a chance.
I was being facetious.
But they still have a chance. Even 10 games out, they still have a chance because they're not eliminated, unlike Kansas City and Oakland, who are still vying for who's going to be the worst team in baseball.
Yeah, they're playing number one.
They go back and forth. There's still a chance. Yes, the division lead, especially if it looks like you're going to get swept by Houston like you're doing right now. Coming into this series, Texas had the division in their palm of their hand of what to do. All they had to do was beat Houston. You sweep Houston, you're able, and you get some losing by Seattle, which Seattle has not played well the last 5
And you
to
have
6
six
games.
more games against Seattle later. in
You
the
do.
schedule.
You had an opportunity to really put something in, especially after Houston got swept by the Yankees. You had a chance to really go after that, and they're not taking advantage of it. And whether that's pitching, Nathan Eovaldi coming back for his first start tonight and getting rocked, taking out 1.1 innings in, only after 4 runs, then Dunning getting just completely shell-shocked, 11 hits, 9 runs.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
You got to wonder what's going on, because this is not the pitching that we saw earlier in the season. Are we tired? Are we not? Like, how do you go
I'd say
from,
based on Eovaldi with just 4 runs and 0.1 of an inning, to me that seems more like they saw something they didn't like when him coming back from injury. And maybe this is Dunning. I'm not used to coming in the 3rd inning.
well, I understand that with Eovaldi. I
He
understand
never
that with
would've come
Eovaldi.
back.
I can
He
see
never-
that.
Yeah,
But
Eovaldi
Dunning-
never would have come back if it wasn't for this. But this is inexcusable by Dunning. I don't
Well,
care.
that's the thing, is Dunning
Eovaldi
was
said
the
he's ready to
bright
come
spot that we saw with right after the Max Scherzer trade. That
Mhm.
was Dunning was one of the pitchers that was originally with the team before the trade deadline that we saw as in a positive light. Now, okay, everyone gets a day. You get a day that you're just going to get shelled, and there's nothing you can do about it. Your stuff's not working. I understand that. Everyone gets that day. You're not going to be perfect every single time you come out on the mound, but this was not the time to get shelled, because Ian Kennedy's in the game now.
unbelievable that he made the big leagues.
It
But
is,
good.
but it's
But
a
I
long
mean,
reliever.
they have no
Good for him.
choice.
But
They have no choice. Yeah.
with Dunning, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And even then, okay, say you get swept by Houston. That doesn't look good, but you're still not, even then, you're still not out of the division lead, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, right before this series, I mean, we've said all this whole time we've had this podcast, even before we were doing our practice versions of the podcast, that Houston has Texas's number. They already won the Silver Boot. We can't seem to beat Houston for some reason. We got to hope we don't meet them in the playoffs if we make it to the playoffs. However, right before this series, the last place Yankees, and yes, they do have a better record than the second place Guardians in the Central, but the last place in the AL East Yankees swept Houston. So just because we get swept by Houston doesn't mean we're out of it. Statistically, we are not out of it. Houston has not proven that they can beat any other team than us religiously. They haven't shown that. Now, yes, they are healthy, but there's nothing that says that they're going to stay healthy all through the rest of the season and through the playoffs. So you have to wait and see what it is. I'm not willing to throw the knife in the Rangers and say they're done and they're not making the playoffs when we still play well against Seattle. We have 6 games left against them. We've got a lot of teams we can still play against us. Yes, we're still reeling. We're still going down this area. We have a chance to right the ship yet. I'm still not ready to throw the fork in the season and say it's done. We're not going to make it when they still have a lot of baseball left to play.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. Like I said, like you said, we got 3 wild card spots. That opens it up for a lot more teams.
Okay.
True.
But then-
And Toronto has been inconsistent all year long and hasn't played well here recently to prove that they're half
That
game
rotation
behind
you
us
blame
in
of-
the wild card. But they haven't played well either. They haven't gone stellar. They haven't really moved themselves up quickly. The only reason they're as close as they are is just because of Texas's woes in the loss bracket. They haven't really done anything to help move themselves up as well either. And no one else in the American League is really pushing, showing that they want to be the playoffs. So, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'll admit at the end of the day, I'll say I'm wrong, but I'm not ready to throw the towel in just yet. We still now in 2 weeks, if we're still playing the same way we are and losing every series, and
Mhm.
I will
I'll
visually
even
throw a
say,
towel on
honestly,
the broadcast. And
Even
throw
if
towel
the
in.
Rangers don't make the playoffs, I think this is a successful season.
No, it's not.
No,
This
to me it's
this is
not.
supposed to be a rebuilding year.
No, this
I
is
mean,
not
no.
a successful.
You've now got Scherzer, Montgomery,
Well,
No, this is
Grom,
not a
and
successful.
Valdi to start
This
your
is a
year.
failure. This is a
No,
failure if you don't
Your
make
shopping
the
list
playoffs
is
after.
relief pitching. That's your shopping list. Is
No,
South
to
this
Beach.
me-
is a failure.
That's it.
Caleb, this is a failure if they don't make the playoffs after what
Yeah.
happened.
And Caleb, I
It's an
agree with Jeff
absolute-
on
Not when
this
they lost
because
100 games.
This is an
before,
absolute
basically.
failure.
they did, but that was the thing. When they came in, you had Jacob deGrom, you had Nathan Eovaldi, you brought people in. Yeah, this was before we brought in Scherzer and Montgomery. I agree, but you had a second year of Seager and Simeon together and a good core built together. Then you brought in the new manager, a manager who has experience. It's not like you brought in a brand new first-time manager. Expectations were playoffs at minimum. I think if you don't make the playoffs, it is a failed season. Now, if they made the playoffs, even if it's a wild card and you lose, to me, that's a successful season. But if you don't make the playoffs, even if you make the wild card, it's successful. I'm good with that. Even if you lose, because anything can happen in that one game. I understand that. But if you don't make the playoffs, to me, with the coaching staff that you brought together, along with the players you already signed at the beginning of the season, then adding Max Scherzer, Montgomery, Aroldis Chapman, I still think it's an unsuccessful season if you don't at least bare minimum make it
So
to a wild
playoffs are
card.
bust, basically.
Yes, I
100%.
completely agree.
Especially when 2 weeks ago it was like 99.9% they're going to make the playoffs. Like, oh, maybe we'll
Mhm.
lose the division. You're not even going to make the playoffs anymore.
Oh,
Okay. Again,
pessimistic.
No, it's not pessimistic. It's reality.
It's like still like 82%, if I remember the number right, that they're going to make the playoffs.
I
But
don't know
82
where-
is less than 99.
You're
I
right
don't
there.
know where we're getting 82% from.
Thank you, math major.
But what I'm saying is, if again,
Hey, well,
maybe
do it again.
technically they still have, technically a chance. But if y'all want to just watch the season end, just wait till starting next Monday when they have 4 games in Toronto, and when they lose 3 out of 4, or 4 games out of the wild card, that's it. And I wouldn't
Well,
be
then-
surprised.
Well, then at that point,
go as
then
far
we'll
as
talk. We'll change that conversation and we'll talk about it at that time. But at the same time, I don't think that they're going to lose 3 out of 4 in Toronto unless they just absolutely just give up on the season. And if they've gave up on the season, then that's on them. But I don't think that playing wise, if they're out there giving their best, I still think they are a better team than the Toronto Blue Jays, and they can keep them held off and hold on to that last wild card if that's what it is.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, do you realize what they've done? in the
No, I
last-
know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. I've watched the games. I've seen the stats. I've seen what's happened. And that's when it comes back to your coaching staff and what are you going to do to fix it? This is the nut up or shut up time where you're in September baseball where you want a seasoned head manager like Bruce Bochy. You want a pitching coach like Mike Maddox who is going to come in. And my apologies, I don't know their batting coach. I should know, but I don't. But that's why you have these guys in this position to make the tweaks. And I know they're trying everything. I know they're tweaking stuff and they're trying every different way. I know that there are. I know they're not just sitting on their ass, not doing anything, just saying, well, they'll figure it out. I know they're not doing that, but this is where you nut up or shut up and get those things tweaked. They've had the chance to tweak things around and see what works and what doesn't. They have to make a decision. They have to go with it, and the players have to fulfill in it. And if the players aren't buying into that system, then you have to start questioning, was this the right move in the coaching area?
And so now
Don't doubt the
you're
Bochy effect. You've been touting all season.
I have, and that's where this is why you brought him in.
yeah.
When something like this happens, any coach can sit there and coast their way to a championship. Any coach can do that. Steve Kerr.
Except Buck
but-
Showalter.
Yeah, except Buck Showalter. He can't. No, he knows how to lose. He does.
He knows
He's
how to lose
The best
champions.
coach that
That's
knows how to
New
lose
York.
championships.
Ask New
but-
York, no.
But that's the thing. When you bring in these coaches, so when you have these kind of late season spells, losing streaks, that they're able to rally the troops, circle the wagons, and bring things back. That's why when you have these problems, you have these kind of managers that come in. Like, nothing against Chris Woodward. I think he did as good of a job as he could with what he had. But he also had never managed a team before. He was like a third base coach or a bench coach before he came to the Rangers, and that was his first ever
Ron
time.
Washington again.
Yeah, something similar to that. So when you have these new managers that have never been in this situation before of how they are able to manage the game and keep this, which players to put in, which guys to put in at this point, they don't deal with that. Ron Washington had that problem when we were dealing with the American League, National League rules, where you played by the home team's rules. So when you're in National League Stadium, you had the pitcher batted at that time, which it doesn't do anymore. There's going to be a generation of children who are not going to understand the difference between the National League and American League in that aspect. The American League have the DH.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
There's
I thought that was
conferences
something that
now.
was going to
They're just
stay.
like-
Yeah.
Just
I
like
did
the
too.
AFC
That's
and
all it is.
NFC now.
So I mean, but I'm happy about that because they needed to go ahead and everybody needed to get on one set, and I was okay with whichever one they decided. If they all went National League, that's fine. Let the pitchers hit. I'm good with it. But I knew they wouldn't. I knew they were going to go American League because that's better hitting, more runs, more offense, better product. So I knew it was going to go to that, but I would have been okay either way.
The
Just
NFL motto.
just
More
pick
offense
one.
means more views. Or
Pick
NBA
one
motto,
side,
too.
go with it. I would have been fine either way, but I'm good that we're all on one. But
Yeah.
when that happened, I'll get to you. Ron Washington was an American League manager, and he knew how to manage against a DH and everything else, but he did not know how to manage having to get a pitcher to bat. He did not know how to manage that, and it showed blatantly when Bruce Bochy and the San Francisco Giants waxed the floor with the Rangers and took, Vladimir Guerrero had no space being out in right field. And he looked terrible out there. And then the next year, they should have won against the Cardinals. They should have, but he still got outmanaged again. It was a lucky hit against Nelson Cruz, but still in Game 6, but still he was outmanaged in every single way going against that. That's why you bring in someone experienced to run who has dealt with this. You always want to have the most experienced candidate. No matter what job you have, that's what you want. That's what people are looking for, an experienced candidate. So if something goes wrong, they know how to fix it in a quick, efficient manner. So that's what they brought in, and that's what we have to look to is you were brought in for this reason. You need to take care of it. This can show on Bochy's legacy because his legacy was cemented before he came here. He didn't have to come out of retirement.
Well, sure, he's already in the Hall of Fame. Need 3 World Series, 4 World Series appearances.
He came in to win because it was a winning team. And if he allows, to me, that taints it a little bit. He'll still be in the Hall of Fame, don't get me wrong, but that leaves a sour taste in your mouth at the very end. So I don't see him letting that happen unless he's that far gone, which he shouldn't be. I mean, he hasn't been all season. The team's been fantastic till we've hit this point.
Yeah, but
this is where the management needs to figure it out.
Head in his hands. He doesn't know what to do. There's nothing he can do.
He needs to figure out what to do. That's what he's paid to do. He's paid to figure out what to do.
This bullpen is so freaking pathetic. I don't know what you can do.
Okay, the bullpen has been pathetic. I agree, but when did the bats actually put up fucking 12 runs like they were doing earlier in the season? The offense has not helped them out in any absolute way. So yes, when your bullpen is bad, your offense has to cover that up, and they have not done anything in 2 months.
It's crazy. The run differential for the Rangers is still plus 161.
See,
so
it
is blowouts.
To me, 5 runs should be good enough against the Mets. 7 runs should be good enough against the Twins.
It should be, but this is now the MLB we live in, where 5 runs isn't enough anymore. 8 runs is not enough anymore. It's not. There was a game I saw yesterday that was 15-7. 15-7. I'll pull it up right now. Go ahead. I'm pulling the game up.
No, I'm just saying you need to have some sort of semblance of bullpen. I mean, you can't just Like Spurs yesterday, he did not record it out. 6 earned runs. 6 earned runs. No out. No out. Yesterday on Labor Day.
We knew what this bullpen was. They are who we thought they were, basically.
Yes.
Like, we know this bullpen's bad. It's been bad.
Just for aspect tonight, the Giants-Cubs game is 7-10 in favor of the Cubs. The game I was talking about, I'm trying to pull it up now. Like last night, 13-6, the Astros beat the Rangers. White Sox got beat by the Royals 12-1. The Royals are one of the worst teams in baseball. I mean, okay, Twins beat the Guardians 20-6 last night. We're not in the league of baseball that we were before. 5 runs is not safe anymore. Yeah, the Pirates won 4-2 against the Brewers, but come on. There's 20 runs being scored by a team.
That's why you need to have a bullpen that can just only allow 2 runs or 1 run at a time when you're up.
True.
And the Rangers don't have
That's
that.
true.
I'm not disagreeing
That's
with
true.
you.
But how many other teams don't have a bullpen? But their offense is hitting. The Twins don't have a great bullpen, but they're putting up 20 runs.
We
You
were
put up
setting
20
records
runs, it
with
doesn't matter what
double-digit
your
gains
bullpen's
at the
doing.
start of the year.
It doesn't mean
And now
shit what your
it's
bullpen's
nothing.
doing. We were tearing the ball up. We
Garcia struck
talked
out
about it at
3
the beginning of the
times
season.
before he got that home run to win the game two games ago. He got
Yeah,
that
but
walk off.
then-
He struck out 3 times before that.
And we talked about earlier this season, this was an unprecedented offensive flurry we're seeing, and we hoped we could keep it throughout the season. If we had it slumped, that they could get it back. They've slumped. We need them to reignite the offense because that's the only way we're going to win. Because, yes, you are correct, Jeff. The bullpen is atrocious. We all know this. We do. The only way to cover that up is to score more runs. If you're
But
putting
also-
pressure on their defense, that's the only way. If you're going to give up runs, you have to score more than them.
But also, it'd be nice if your starting pitching could give a quality start every now and then too.
It would, and we've
Well,
had
Max
some
Scherzer's
quality
been
starts.
quality
Scherzer's
starts,
been
yeah.
doing that.
Montgomery, they got a quality start not too long ago.
Montgomery had a
Even Dungy
great quality start.
Well, yeah,
and
but
the bullpen's giving it up. Like I said, we know what the
Because
problem
we're
is.
not getting any offensive support.
Yeah.
It's got to be a give and flow from both sides.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I just think y'all need to realize that this is full meltdown mode and this season is over, barring a miracle.
No, I'm not
If
saying the
y'all
season's
realize-
over right now. No,
We're
it
not
doesn't
seeing
need a
it, we're not
miracle.
saying that. No,
Y'all
Jeff,
need
we're
to
not agreeing
realize
with you on that. We're
I'm
just
not
not
saying
agreeing with
it's
you on that.
mathematically
We agree to
possible,
disagree.
but the season
It
is
is
over.
not the end of the season.
We are
The
not
season is
hanging
over.
off the cliff like you are.
Se-
You
season's
are all
over.
hanging off the cliff. You were hanging off
This
the
is
cliff.
what you get
We're
for
not.
having a Nationals
Season's
fan
over.
talk about
Hey,
meltdowns.
Season's
And
Well, that's the thing.
season's over.
Look,
He jumped
hey,
too early.
Caleb and I, we're not hanging off the cliff like this. We're kind of looking at the cliff going, okay, we see it. It's right over there.
Yep.
But we're good. But you've already jumped off the side. You're hanging on, going, come on, guys, come do it. We're not lemmings. We're not jumping off of it.
We're on a hangnail that's 2 weeks old right now. That's the state of the Rangers right now.
All right. Well, before we go ahead and jump into our next segment, I do want to bring in our weekly Padre update. And the Padres are right now 7 games out of the wild card. They're still not mathematically out, and they are not the worst team in their division. They are actually second to last. They are 20 games behind the LA Dodgers. So wanted to have our Padres. They're still not out of it. We still have a chance. Come on, Padres. But
Yeah.
our weekly Padres update, because they should be better than what they are.
And they're 14 ahead of.
You wanna
they're
talk about-
14 ahead of the Rockies.
I'll give
They're
you
14
that
ahead of the
meltdown.
Rockies.
Yep. They are 14 ahead of the Rockies.
Season-long
So
Go Padres. 60
They're-
game run. 60. Yeah,
they're
you wanna talk
5.5
about the
games
fourth-
behind the Giants and 6.5 games behind Arizona, but 20 games behind the Dodgers, which they were every year we hear they're going to be better. But this is our running weekly joke because honestly, the Padres are terrible, and it doesn't matter who they bring to their organization, they suck.
Yes, that is correct.
Is
And
that the
even with the coveted run game differential, which is the end all be all, they're plus 60, and they're still 7 games out of the wild card with a 65-74 record. But hey, they're not losing right now to Philadelphia in the 4th, but they will. They'll blow.
Saying there's a chance.
And last thing I want to bring up is I don't know who's going to beat Atlanta. They're 90-47 right now, best record in the league. They're even on their off games, they look good. Yeah, I mean, we talked about how we're Ranger fans. We've talked about them.
Birds. I think
Baltimore does look
Orioles
good.
Got some interesting stuff.
And honestly, I think next week we can go ahead and start. Well, yeah, we can start throwing out our guesses of who we think, our playoff teams are going to be. I'm willing to do that next week if you guys are willing to. We can go ahead and start doing some research on that. But I would not be surprised seeing a Baltimore-Atlanta series because both teams are young. Both teams are very, very good, very, very hungry. And that Baltimore team, I see that being a team to worry about in the American League for the next 2-3 years. Those guys are under contract for the next 2-3 years, and they're young. And barring injury, that's going to be a rough team to beat in the playoffs.
Some kind of sophomore rookie wall type of thing.
I mean,
which could happen.
The reality is that, in my opinion, with the Braves, you have 3 Cy Young candidates going for you every single night when you have Strider, Elder, and Morton going.
But their bats have been consistent all year long.
And that's the thing. That's just with the pitching. But then you have Acuna going. You have Matt Olson going. You have Albies going.
Mm-hmm.
You have Marcell Ozuna even hitting.
We get it. They're good.
Okay, but they have a 240-run differential for a reason. This is not some fake ass bullshit that the Rangers have put up all year.
No.
Atlanta's a fun team to watch, and I'll say it now and I'll say it next week. Atlanta's the team I pick out of the National League, hands down. Even with the Dodgers doing what they're doing, I still pick Atlanta. I still am picking Atlanta.
Yeah. I'll be shocked if Atlanta doesn't win the World Series this year. I'll be shocked.
What would be okay? Quick answer, real quick, and then we'll move on ahead to our next segment. Biggest failure: Atlanta doesn't make it to the World Series, or Texas doesn't make it to the playoffs.
Ooh.
What's the bigger failure?
I think Atlanta, because they've won one, lost to the Astros, I believe, last year.
No, last year was the Phillies.
Oh, Phillies. Okay, excuse me. They've been hanging around, and they've already got a championship and been there another time, I think. So I think it would be the Braves.
If I would say the Braves, but you still have the Dodgers in there, so I would still say the Rangers not making the playoffs would be the.
You're just on the Rangers hate wagon, driving it.
Yeah. He's the bus driver for sure.
It's good baseball talk. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We're going to jump into the start of the NFL season, everybody's favorite time of the year. Be back here in just a few moments. And welcome back from the break. And it's the time of the year that everyone always looks forward to, the start of the NFL season. We started in 2 days, Thursday night. The Chiefs and the Lions will get everything going. And we've got a lot of games that we're going to talk about. We've got a lot of things getting into this beginning of the NFL season. But we're going to go ahead and start with the very, very first game with the Chiefs and the Lions. And what we're feeling about on that. I can tell you right off the bat, I believe this is going to be a big win for the Chiefs. There has been some news on the Chiefs front as of this morning Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee during practice. From the reports,
May
there's
have
no
tore his ACL. The Chiefs don't know.
the reports I
So-
saw right before we started the broadcast is there is no ACL
They were
tear,
negative,
but
supposedly,
his
but that wasn't
his
a
status is
scan
still
yet.
yeah, his status is still up and down, which doesn't help in the fantasy realms of people who in the first round took Travis Kelce with the 5th overall pick. So not good in that aspect, but I kind of had a feeling when I drafted him in my wife's family league that something like that would happen because he normally does. But regardless of that, I see the Chiefs winning this game. I'm high on the Lions this year. I'm a big Dan Campbell fan. I think he's really changed
this
the
is gonna
entire
be
atmosphere for Detroit.
As I said, I think
He's
it's going to be a
changed the
dogfight.
entire
I
thing.
think the Chiefs, especially if Travis Kelce misses, this is going to be a squeaker by the Chiefs.
I don't know if it's a squeaker because I'm not fully sold on Jared Goff as being the guy.
That's the key. That's the key.
Can he have as good a season as he did last year? But I mean, Patrick Mahomes without Kelsey's throwing to Sky Moore. I mean, he made Juju Smith-Schuster look like an All-Pro. Don't get me wrong, but
True, but they still have Isaiah Pacheco, who I think is going to have a great season this year. I think he really is. I'm really high on him.
he could. But he's a rookie, if I remember right.
He was a rookie last year. This is his second year.
Excuse me.
He was a rookie last year, and he had a surprising year last year. But he also he ran really, really hard. Like he ran with an intensity. And yes, running backs aren't what they were, but I still think that he's still a weapon. He still is able to catch it out of the backfield, and I think he's got a good burst speed that he can really help out in that aspect. I think that's what he helped out last year. I think they're going to utilize him more this year. So I think he still has some weapons. Yes, he doesn't have his main weapon, but Patrick Mahomes has shown that he's willing to spread out the love. It's not just it's not like he just sits there and goes to Kelce every time,
even without
no matter
Tyreek
what.
Hill last year, he had a career year in yards, 5,250 or something.
Yeah. Well, okay, but that's for Miami, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What? I said Patrick
No,
Mahomes.
he was talking about
had
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
Well, I
Patrick
thought you
Mahomes
said
had
without
5,250
Tyreek
yards,
Hill.
without Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, without Tyreek Hill. So I don't see it being could it be a dogfight? Yeah, absolutely it could. And that if it's a dogfight and the Lions lose by 3, that's what you want as a Lions fan. You want that. You want to lose by 3 points if you lose. Yeah, you want to come in and beat the Super Bowl champions, but you lose by 3 in a dogfight. Hell yeah, you'll take that every single day. Dan Campbell will take that every single day because you went in there and gave everything you had in Arrowhead, and you ended up losing at a last-minute field goal. That's exactly what Detroit wants. That helps motivate them for the season. So, absolutely, if that's what happens, that's the best case. That's the worst, best case scenario for Detroit. But I just don't see it happening because I see Travis Kelce coming out, or not Travis Kelce, but I see Patrick Mahomes coming out there doing what he does. I don't expect them to win by 21 points. I could see a 7 to 14 point win, but I don't see it being a dogfight and 3-point. Harrison Butker has to hit a 45-yard field goal to win the game. If it does
Vegas
come to that point, I'll be happy.
Basically 5 points. Vegas has spread at 4.5.
Right.
Did that change after the Kelce injury though?
Yes,
I did not look it up before. So.
That changed it by 1 point. It's 5.5 going in, and then now it's 4.5 now.
So not by much.
Mm-hmm. So, but still, that's pretty big. The thing is, though, is that the issue that I have with Detroit is I still did not see enough on the defensive side of the ball to warrant a dramatic improvement to the point where they would beat a Super Bowl champion team like the Chiefs. Tell me, in what kind of scenario will Patrick Mahomes not throw potentially 450 to 500 yards in this game? I really don't see it at all.
What? That's no, he's not throwing that much. I'm sorry.
Hey, he's on my fantasy team. I'll take it. If he does it, I'll take it. Hands down. Not a problem. Over 500 yards.
The average is 375.
Okay, but Detroit didn't play any defense last year.
That's why they drafted all defense.
Okay,
They
but
did.
they
back,
need
excuse me.
they still need a ton of time to gel. These are rookie players on the defensive side of the ball.
And I think
feel
the
like
running
even-
game's improved for the Lions. The time of possession is going to be much more balanced, I think.
Well,
in the
I'm
Lions'
just
favor.
saying too. Well, there's a couple things. One, I'm not sold on, like Chris, you said earlier, is that I'm not sold on if Jared Goff can improve on the
repeat.
season he did or repeat what he
Mhm.
did last year. I think Jamal Williams is a decent running back. Do I think he's a game changer? Absolutely not.
What about
That's
Gibbs?
why you got Jamar Gibbs. Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
Gibbs, the hype of the offseason.
I know, but I just don't. Again, that stuff takes time, and again, and I'm
Running
not
backs
sold
can get out
on,
of the gate fast.
and I'm not sold on the Detroit Lions offensive line. I don't think that's very good either. I just think that the Lions now it's a different animal when you are the hunted as opposed to being the team hunting the others. Okay, it's one thing, you come off like whatever it was. I don't know what it was exactly. Forgive me if someone in the comments wants to say 3-14, 4-13. I don't care. And I know they went last year. They went 9-8 or 8-9, I believe, at the end of the year. So they, to me, still have a lot of question marks on the defensive side of the ball. They went 9-8 last year officially, by the way. So I just don't see what they have done enough on the defensive side to really prove that they can hang with the Super Bowl champion. I think they could be competitive with them for, say, a half or two. But to me, this is a Chiefs
They're
team.
going to
they're
pull an
competitive.
LSU.
If they're competitive with them for 2 halves, that's the whole game.
I think he
Well,
said
2
half,
quarters,
but
I
that's
mean.
Okay, well, you said half or
Okay.
2, so just saying, just making
Okay.
sure.
Well,
Okay.
all right. You know what I mean?
Pretty good.
I know what you mean.
Okay.
I just was going off what you said.
No, yes. If I said 2 halves, then yes,
Yes.
we can be competitive within the whole game.
And
But,
you're looking pretty good. I mean, that's what Detroit wants. They want to be competitive for 2 halves. So I agree. That's exactly what they
but-
want.
The thing is, though, my concern is that in a game like this, you're going to have to ask Detroit to score 40 points on Kansas City to win, and they're just not going to do that. They don't. I don't think they have the firepower
40 points
to do
really?
it. Yeah, because I don't think they're going to be able to stop Kansas City at all. I don't think their defensive line is very good. I don't think their secondary is very good.
That's where I think the time of possession is going to come into play.
Based
They're
on
going to be
what?
able to
Just
hold the ball. Besides the running
based on
back game's
what?
improving,
Do you really think Jameer Gibbs is going to make that much of an impact?
I think he
Do you
could.
really think he's going to do that? And I'm just not sold on that.
That's fine. Not to. I am.
There's a
I'm the
possibility
buyer's
there.
market
And and I think if we ever want to do a full NFL podcast, just do one
Yeah,
episode
they
where
would
we
just
do
straight
nothing
NFL.
but NFL and we go through each team individually, which would be interesting. We could maybe do that here in the near future, as early in the season. But for the Lions, because as we were talking about, and as I brought up, we've talked about, they've got a lot of issues, but they did have an improved season. What is a successful season for the Detroit Lions this year? And if they don't have a successful season, if they don't repeat at least the 9-8 they had last year, is Dan Campbell now going to be on the hot seat?
I would anticipate so because
I wouldn't
believe
think he'd be on the hot
he
seat.
should
I
be.
mean,
Because
you turned that entire franchise attitude around. So I mean, I think you got to give him about 3 years before he's on the hot seat.
No, not in
Now, if
this-
he's
not in this
posting
league.
basically Dallas Cowboy records of 8-8 or
Not in this
9-8, or well, you can't do
No.
8-8 anymore. If you're
He
9-8
went
or
yeah,
8-9,
he went 9-8
something like
last
that,
year.
then yeah, he's going to be the seat's going to start to get hot.
The
But
reality is Vegas
that team
has
right now.
Detroit as the favorite to win this division this year. Do you agree with that or not?
Really?
See, I was going
Vegas
to bring
says
that up
Detroit
because I was
win.
thinking they might, but I still don't know if I can count out the
So,
Bears. that
so
much.
this is what Vegas has
Oh,
right
the
now.
Bears? I'm taking the Vikings.
So this
I'm
is
taking
what
the
Or,
Vikings
yeah,
in
the
the North.
Vikings, yeah.
So this is a very, very even division. So here's what Vegas has.
Unless you're Green Bay.
Here's what Vegas has right now. Detroit plus 175 to win the division. Minnesota plus 270 to win the division. Green Bay plus 300. Chicago plus 375.
Don't sleep
So-
on Jordan Love. Watch it. MVP season. Jordan Love. Watch it happen.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sleeping.
My
on
brother,
Green Bay.
my brother would love it. He's a diehard Packer fan.
I just can't
I don't
believe
know what
the
happened.
Bears are below the Green Bay team.
Because
I
they
guess they believe Fields
they
is gonna be
don't
a bust
believe
more
in
than I
Justin
do.
Fields. Justin Fields can get all the stats in the world,
He's
but
got
can he
that
lead
running
the
stuff.
team? Well, that's the thing is what running
Run stuff.
quarterback has led their team to the playoffs besides Lamar
Oh,
Jackson.
excuse me. Lamar
Yes.
Jackson. Michael
Yes.
Vick.
Okay, there's
Once.
two. You have
Well,
two.
there hasn't been that many in the league, let's be honest.
Two.
Because there hasn't been that many in the league. You'd be 3.
There have been
When
a
he
lot, and they have not led their team
Not
to
runners.
the playoffs. Yeah,
Not
they have.
considered runners. I mean, you could be
Oh,
scramblers like Tony
absolutely.
Romo, but you're not a runner.
Tim
Tony Romo's
Tebow,
not a runner.
Robert Griffin III.
Tim Tebow didn't get to start except for 1 year in Denver.
Exactly. I rest
Robert
my
Griffin
case.
III had injuries and got sacked. So he
Yes,
didn't technically
because
play
he
either.
decided to run like he did in college, and he found out. He messed around and found out what the NFL was about. That's what
You're not wrong there. That he did.
Because yeah, you can be fast in college, but you're not NFL fast. And he found out the hard
And
way.
think about this way. I mean, think about the fact that the Bears, Lions, Vikings, they were some of the most worst defenses in the NFL. Arguably the 3 worst defenses in the NFL last year. Everyone wants
Very
to talk
surprising from the
about
Vikings.
the
there.
NFC North and how
Mhm.
tough and physical
And
they are.
Chicago.
They don't play
It's
any
very surprised to
defense
have those
anymore.
teams to be defense.
Chicago has not been a good defense
They don't-
for a while.
I
They
know,
don't
and it's
play
been
any defense anymore. And to me, I still think
Not
until
disagreeing with you, Jeff.
nope,
and
not
so-
disagreeing.
and so until Minnesota actually hands over the reins, I'm still going to go with Minnesota for now. I'm not jumping on the Detroit bandwagon yet. But
All
I
right.
think Green Bay can win.
Really, you're on the Jordan Love bandwagon.
Wow.
I think Green Bay can win that division, whether it be 9-8.
So you're saying Kirk Cousins is going to lose the division? Is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I think he could. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think Green
No
Bay is going to
Dalvin
be like
Cook
last
anymore.
in the division, or
No
they're going to
Dalvin
be
Cook
fighting the
anymore.
Bears for the last place.
Well, maybe they let Dalvin Cook go for a reason.
So what's Minnesota going to do now? Is it just
They
gonna
have
be the-
Justin Jefferson.
Yes, they had the best wide
and
receiver
Alexander
in the
Madison.
NFL.
Yeah, Addison. They have Addison
He's
as
been
well.
a decent, but he's not Dalvin Cook. I'll give you that much.
No, I'm not saying Alexander Madison. I'm saying Addison, that receiver that took
Oh,
that
yeah,
rookie
Jordan
receiver they got.
Jordan Addison.
Jordan
yes.
Addison.
Jordan
Yes.
Addison at USC.
That's who I'm talking
the
about. I'm
thing
talking about
is,
Jordan Addison. Yeah.
Yeah,
He'd be good too.
but how are you going to tell me though? You have to run the ball. at some point.
Alexander
That's what-
Madison is
No,
not
you
a
don't.
bad runner.
Madison's not a
He's
terrible
gonna make
runner.
it to where you can't stack the box.
Yeah.
He's decent
He's
enough
not-
to do that, which is
he's
all
not
you
Well,
need.
Dalvin
in Minnesota.
Cook.
They're
But
gonna
whenever
ask-
Dalvin, every time
No, they're
Dalvin
asking
Cook got
Myles
hurt,
Miles Gaskin will be the guy. Okay.
no,
What? No.
Madison's
he's
the
not.
starter.
Yeah, Madison's
Miles-
the starter.
No, Miles Gaskin will be the
No, he is not.
Get out of
No,
here.
he's
He
not.
just got
Stop it.
picked up. He's
I-
not
I
the
think
Stop
starter.
it.
No, I think he could be the man.
He could be, but
Everyone thought he
Madison's
was
going
gonna
to
be
get
the
the
man in
start
Miami.
because he was
he
the guy
wasn't.
that came in. Every time Dalvin Cook got hurt, Madison came in, would have a great game. Not
Mhm.
a spectacular game, but he'd have a solid game for you. And he
He
knows the
wanted to take
offense.
100 yards every time.
283 yards last year for Alexander Madison.
Yes, because
Cook
Dalvin Cook
was
took all of
healthy.
it. It was
It's
healthy
one of
the
rare
whole
seasons
season.
where Cook was healthy the full season.
Okay.
which didn't
Yeah,
happen very often.
But the Vikings decided to give that up. But what my point is though that they need to make sure that Addison and Jefferson are the guys, because that is going to be a busy season for Kirk Cousins. Very busy season. And also,
we already know Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison are going to be the focal points of that offense. We already know this.
And also,
But they
too,
gave
don't
up Dalvin
forget,
Cook,
don't forget about
Mhm.
T.J. Hawkinson as well.
It's true. They did get
Yep.
him.
Well, we'll be able to find out exactly what happens there with Minnesota as they take on Tampa Bay and the Baker Mayfield era in Tampa Bay. But that's not a game I really care to talk about. I'd rather talk about some of the other games I think are a little bit more interesting to me. And one of them is going to be the Bengals and the Browns. Deshaun Watson getting his first start there, this season with the his first full season with the Browns. Joe Burrow, is he starting week 1? Are we going to be good there? We're going to be okay? I know in your text message you were very, very excited about a pickup back to the cuts.
Yes, we got Will.
Cowboy.
Yeah, we got Will. We got Will Greer, and I'm not. I think he can do some things, but Joe Burrow's going to play this game. He's going to start, and I don't know. And you have to remember too. Let's just be careful here about this Deshaun Watson deal, okay? Because statistically, yes, he was fantastic for Houston.
One of the top 3 QBs when he was in the league.
But he was also getting massages.
Oh no!
Yeah, it did.
It's a success.
How many games did Houston win in 2020?
Not many.
No. And he didn't play at all in 2021. Okay. And he barely played in 2022. He didn't look very good. And I just don't think that you could anticipate Deshaun Watson just flipping on a dime. It's like, okay, he has an off season now. He's good. He'll be ready to go. You're talking about a guy who essentially didn't play for 2 seasons.
No, he did.
I think you can have the same argument with Joe Burrow. He didn't play all the preseason, so maybe he comes out rusty and overthrows his guys.
What? What? No.
Hey,
Watson
Watson started playing at the end of last season. Then he's had a full off season.
Last season.
Yeah. He started playing at the end of last season. He had a full off season.
But he essentially missed 2 seasons. So
yes, but he has a better team. He has a better team than what he had in Houston. He has a better team.
Does he? Tell me why he has a better team.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah,
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. Nick Chubb, right there.
Okay,
Miles Garrett,
way better running back.
But don't say
he's got Amari Cooper on the wide receiver. Cooper.
Oh my
that
God!
Defense and the
David Njoku, better than he ever played. Better tight end than he ever played with in Houston. Right there, you already have 5 better players.
5.
No, 4. Sorry, I almost said 4. My bad. My apologies. I stand corrected. And one of them was defense player.
I just tell me what you saw from Deshaun Watson last year that indicated any kind of
rust. I saw rust, but I also saw him working. Okay, he had at the end of the season. I didn't expect shit from him last season. I expected them to keep him off the field. I figured they put him in just getting some experience with the team, and now he's had that experience. He's had a full off season working with the team, and he's got better weapons than what he ever had in Houston. Besides,
I'm gonna steal your words, Jeff.
Besides a peak DeAndre Hopkins, he had a peak DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, Is peak DeAndre Hopkins walking through that door for Cleveland?
No, but I think the Amari Cooper he has right now is just as serviceable.
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't think it's close.
I think it is.
I really don't think it's
I think Amari Cooper
I'm going to use your own words.
Extended his career a lot better than DeAndre Hopkins has.
So basically, you were saying that you're worried about a slow start by the Bengals because Burrow doesn't have the preseason. You've said that in the past.
You have.
We're going to get out to a slow start because Burrow missed the preseason again because of an injury or whatever reason.
Okay.
So why are you saying that he won't come out with any rust or any? Okay, my timing's a little off with this receiver. Why are you so aghast at that?
Because he really didn't play for 2 years, Caleb. Because he didn't really.
You're
play
changing the
He
subject
played
back
at the
to
end
Burrow.
of
We're not
last
talking
year.
about
We're
Watson.
talking about Burrow now. We're not talking about Watson. We're talking about Burrow.
Okay. Well, that's not even close because Joe Burrow in 2021 took the Bengals to the Super Bowl.
Okay,
Joe Burrow had
Yeah,
less than
that was
the first-
2021. And what did he do last year?
Starts because he misses the preseason,
so-
or he has these weird injuries to start the year.
Okay,
Those are
but
your
he
words.
took the Bengals. He took the Bengals to the AFC Championship.
That's
So
fine.
don't even
Last year.
don't
That
even
was last year.
compare. Don't even put Joe Burrow in the same freaking sentence as Deshaun Watson. Don't even do
You
that.
know what? Just because you're being
That's
salty, I
just-
will. Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson are both going to throw 300 yards this week.
Hey, I will put them both in the same sentence. Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson will be playing each other this week. Look, I just did it. Oh, did the world fall apart? No, it didn't. All I'm saying is that I think
No.
do I think the Bengals are going to win? Yes, I think the Bengals are going to win because I just told you the Bengals are going to win. Stop it. You stop it.
No,
Stop
what
it.
it was.
Stop it.
No, what it
Stop
was.
it.
Hold on,
No,
let
what
me
it
mute
was
him. Let
is
me
that
mute him.
you're trying to put Deshaun Watson in the same category as Joe Burrow.
No,
That's
no, I'm
disrespectful.
not.
Yes, you did.
We are
No, I
not.
didn't.
You just
No,
did.
you assume
That's
that's
what
what we were
Caleb
talking
just
about.
did.
No,
Don't
stop
make me
it.
put you in timeout,
Stop it.
Jeff. Don't make me
Stop
put you
it.
in timeout.
No one said, and we can rewind it and listen to it. No one said that Deshaun Watson is as good as a quarterback as Joe Burrow.
That's what,
No,
that's what you're
no,
saying.
no,
That's
no,
what you're
that is
saying
not,
right now.
no one said that. We just said, should you be worried about Deshaun Watson because he has
absolutely
better
not. No.
weapons than what he had? We did not say he's the same caliber as Joe Burrow. We said that Joe Burrow is coming off an injury. So are you worried about Joe Burrow coming off with oh, Deshaun Watson hasn't played in 2 years. That's exactly what happened. No one said at any point that Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow are in the same league. No one ever said that because there's only two other quarterbacks that are in Joe Burrow's league, and that's Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. It was not implied. You implied it your own self.
I know.
So you made yourself get offensive over something that we didn't even say because you thought what we were saying. So stop. Get off your defensive. Like the minute we started talking about this game, you immediately went into Bengals defensive mode because you're worried about the season. You're worried about Joe Burrow, so you went into defensive mode right off the fact. That's what it is. You went into defensive mode because you're worried about Joe Burrow.
No.
Yes.
No,
Yes, you are.
wanna put
Admit
Deshaun
it.
Watson-
Admit it.
You
No.
want to put
No
Deshaun
one
Watson
said
in the Hall
that.
of Fame.
No, we don't.
No one said that.
We
No one
agree.
said
Burrow is
that.
a better
You
quarterback.
You are
want to put
deflecting.
Deshaun Watson in the Hall
No,
of Fame.
you're deflecting. You're deflecting
make
now
it okay,
because
well,
you're
Because
deflecting.
You're not answering the question, Jeff.
No.
Are you
You're
worried
not-
at all
no,
that
you're
Joe
deflecting.
Burrow is coming off an injury and may have some timing or a little
I'm
bit of
not
rust when he
deflecting.
starts the game?
You are deflecting. No one's talking about Deshaun Watson being the best quarterback of all time, or that he's going
Sure.
to that he's
But
in the same
but it doesn't
level
mean-
of Joe Burrow. No, you're
But it
the only
doesn't
one
mean
saying
he's
that.
not going to kick Deshaun's ass.
You are the only one saying
I
it.
know
Stop it.
he's the only one saying it.
No, no. Y'all suggest
Where's the mute button? I'm about to hit this mute button.
I got it.
Deshaun Watson is doing a pro.
All right, he's muted. Nobody is saying that Burrow is better, Jeff. We're not saying that at all. It's not implied. It's not anything.
This is ridiculous. I mean,
You're being ridiculous.
Don't
You
go
are
around
being
the
ridiculous.
horn, my
You have gone
Don't go around the
full.
horn, my
No, you circled the wagons the minute I brought up Cincinnati, Cleveland. You immediately circled the
No, I
wagons
didn't
and
circle
put
the
the
wagons.
guns up, and
No,
you're
no,
like,
you
"Oh,
decided-
I'm ready to go." That's exactly what
No,
happened.
I didn't do that because
Yes,
there
you
was this
did. Liar.
idiocracy being
Being a salty cracker again there, Jeff.
You are a liar.
about Deshaun Watson, about how he's No, okay.
No,
So
we
please
asked
round
you,
the
should
table.
you be worried about him? By saying, oh, are you worried about this quarterback doesn't mean he's better than your guy who is one of the top 3
I'm
quarterbacks in
not
the
worried about
league.
Deshaun.
No one said that. We just said, should you be worried because he
Okay.
has better weapons than what he had in Houston? He's
Then
coming off
you're
the end of the
asking a
season
different
where he
question.
No, that's
You're
the
asking
same
a
question we
different
said at the
question.
beginning.
I know.
Oh, God.
Different question.
Let's go to the next game.
Question.
Nah, I'm
This
done
is-
with this
this is-
game. I'm done with this. You've annoyed me now. Okay, now let's annoy Caleb.
Yes.
All right, Caleb.
Let's go to the next game of the week.
Anyways,
Okay.
speaking of Deshaun Watson's old team, the Ravens take on the Texans in their first game this year. And
Mhm.
all right, how are we feeling? Odell Beckham Jr.,
We're
coming
feeling
in.
confident. We're
Zay
feeling confident.
Flowers, Lamar Jackson gonna stay healthy.
I think
At least for a
Maybe.
game, I think.
Stroud,
I'm not counting the
I
full
think
season,
Stroud's
but at
going
least
in
the
the
game.
Hall of Fame.
What?
Who?
Huh?
You're fuzzy, Jeff.
Okay.
Guys,
But I mean, you got a 10-point differential for this game,
no, I'm good.
so we're feeling. Us in Vegas are
I'm
feeling pretty confident that the
good.
Ravens have this one.
Oh, pardon me.
I'm good.
CJ Stroud, I do believe, is having the start in this game. So, got a rookie quarterback coming in. I mean,
The
Damian
Ravens
Pierce.
feast on rookies. The Ravens feast on rookie QBs.
They do. That's
Yeah.
what they do with their defense. Damian Pierce is,
Yeah.
he's coming in his second year, had a great rookie year, but at the same time, I don't see how if the Texans are able to if the Texans are able, as we were talking about with the whole Detroit, Kansas City, if the Texans come out and they're able to lose on a last-second field goal, I think that's a win in their book
Yeah.
easily. I don't see
No,
this being
It's
close
like me and
at
Jeff
all.
last year were watching the Lions and Ravens game, and it was so funny because the Ravens fans were just happy they got to see a 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker beat their team. We're just glad to be part of history.
Yeah.
Well, you
we'll take a
can't-
hard
I
fought
think
game.
the only thing I
We'll
would.
take a hard fought game.
All right.
All
It
right,
was
go.
All right. So about the Ravens in this game, I think the Texans are actually built for a change for the future. But to me, when you have a situation like this, you're going to have a superior coaching advantage at this point. I think D'Amico Ryans can be a very excellent coach in the future, but this is going to be
Derek
a very,
Bellamy being over there now too.
Mhm.
yeah, but this is going to be a very tough game for Houston to win, and I think Houston may be able to hang with them for like a half or two, just because I think the Texans, from a skill position standpoint, are pretty solid. I don't think their defense is there to really contend with anything that Baltimore would provide from a running standpoint from Lamar Jackson. I think the curious thing
Don't
for
count
me,
Will Anderson though on some of that defensive line. That could get
Mhm.
interesting because our
It could
offensive
be.
line's been shaky this offseason.
yeah, that was a fantastic.
I
play
am-
by Hugh-
I'm
or
interested in
fantastic
watching
draft
him play.
by-
I'm really looking forward to watching him play.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he could do against that Ravens offensive line. Now, again, it seemed like going into the offseason, the players were kind of backing Lamar as far as his contract dispute with the Ravens. Is that really, do you think that jives with most of the team now? I guess it doesn't matter now because he already signed his big deal. But
Mhm. I don't think they care.
is everything good there, chemistry wise, you think?
Everything's great chemistry wise. I mean, he's got his wide receivers, Flowers, Bateman's catching catches, Odell's catching catches. So I think it's
That's gonna be the
kumbaya
big
as
thing.
far as LeBron Jackson.
That's going to be the big thing to me is how is Odell Beckham Jr. going to fit in here with this team, and will he stay healthy? That's the thing, because even if he fits in with the team, everything goes well with all of that. Is he going to be able? He still has some tread on the tires, I think, but I don't know how much tread he actually has, and is he going to be able to last a full season with the team?
And also too, whether or not will J.K.
Very
Dobbins
valid question.
stay? Will J.K. Dobbins stay healthy?
J.K. Dobbins will
Who's
stay healthy.
if he doesn't stay healthy,
If not,
then
he won't. Gus
who's
Edwards
going to?
will. Gus Edwards
Yeah,
has
but-
never missed a game in an entire season until last year.
Yeah, but you just can't do that.
But
anymore.
once you start getting that injury bug, it could linger. It could linger.
It's possible.
It's something to be considered. Something to be
I mean,
considered.
it got Dobbins last year. He came back and then had to miss another couple of games last year. So
Do you give two shits that Melvin Gordon is on your team or not?
No, they cut him.
He's cut.
They already cut
He
him.
gone.
They already
Cut him.
cut him.
He
That's
gone.
right. They cut it.
They cut him. Yep.
So there you go. That answered my question. So, yeah, I mean, I think the key will be is the running game, and as long as the chemistry is still there with Deshaun Watson. Also, too, I'm still, waiting maybe for the day that they could actually, throw the ball in the backfield for a change. But it doesn't seem like the Ravens really want to do that. And whether or not I just don't know. Could Justice Hill ever be that guy? We don't know.
Well, now we'll go ahead and move into the next game we'd like to talk about here. And this one, to me, is a big one for me. And I'll actually get to watch it this year. Sunday night, Cowboys and Giants.
mhm.
I think this is going to be up at MetLife, New York City. No, New Jersey, technically. If you ask my
Yeah.
wife, it's New
The
Jersey.
Meadowlands.
They're all
The
in New
Meadowlands. But yeah, this is a big game here. Cowboys need to win this game, hands down. They cannot get beat
And
by the
they should.
Giants.
No.
They shouldn't get beat by the Giants. They shouldn't. There's no reason why they should lose to the Giants. Daniel Jones is not the caliber quarterback Dak Prescott is. Yes, including.
Now, unless
Dak
Dak
Prescott's
Prescott decides to
interceptions.
throw it to the other team like he did last year. That's the only reason.
Well, I was just bringing that up. I mean, with his interceptions last year, if Dak Prescott decides to throw the ball, throw for 3-4 interceptions, then absolutely they'll lose, and they deserve to lose at that point. But maybe then, if that happens, maybe Trey Lance comes in. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Trey Lance isn't coming in. But with these new weapons that the Cowboys have, and honestly, I'm expecting not only Defensive Player of the Year, but maybe a run at season MVP for Micah Parsons. I think he's going to have a
It's not
year
out of the
for
realm
the
of
record
possibility.
books. From everything I'm hearing about the way the guy is approaching this year and the way he's going, I look at Micah Parsons setting the
Yeah.
bar
could
to
be
get paid.
good, but he's also got to depend on those players around him. Like, can they take off?
He does.
Can DeMarcus Lawrence still take up two guys on that offensive line so Mark Parsons can get around the edge?
I
or do a
do,
stunt
and I-
down the middle.
And I also think that's also the reason why they took Mozzie Smith there in the first round to give another big body to throw down in the middle to help take pressure off
That
of him.
to stop the run because they
Yeah.
were horrible in the run up the middle.
They were terrible in
Yeah,
the
but
run.
I think it's mainly because to free up Mike on the edge. I think that's really the main thing why, and that's why you saw Micah Parsons get so excited when they drafted Mozzie Smith. That's gonna allow Micah Parsons to rush the quarterback. And like Chris
One time a
alluded
Penn
to,
State guy got excited about a Michigan guy. I can tell you right now.
and so and then
True.
again, when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, they're the best defensive team in the NFL. They have certainly the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. Who would
You'd say
probably
over the
be
49ers even?
who would be a head. who would
We
be a head
know
coach.
Jeff's love of Dan Campbell. Not Dan
Dan
Campbell.
Quinn.
Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn. We know his love of Dan Quinn.
And rightly so. Rightly so. Best defensive coordinator in the league right now since
And-
Bengenio left.
And also too, I just let's flip this on the other side when we take a look at the Giants. Like you said, Chris, like to me, I don't even know if I put Daniel Jones in terms of the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL.
But a lot of people are, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering
They
about.
saw the supposed improvement in him. He's a top 10 according to his
I
contract.
still
too.
don't see him with his contract, and that's what I think is being a lot of people are putting the contract in with that. And
Just
I don't
because
think
the contract is big doesn't mean he's good.
I'm not on the Daniel Jones bandwagon, and
You don't
that's
get the
not
guy
just
the money
my Cowboy
unless
fandom
you're-
talking. That's me
believe in him.
looking. I'm looking objectively at it,
I,
and
mean, I agree. I don't
the
think
quality
Dan
of the
Jones
player.
is one of the top 10 QBs either.
No, I don't think he's a top 20 quarterback.
I don't either.
Is it
The-
McAdoo? Is that the coach of the Giants right
Ben-
now?
yeah.
No, Brian Daboll is the
Brian
coach of the
Daboll.
Brian
Giants.
Daboll. Thank
No.
you. Sorry.
But
Former
Do you
the
think
thing-
this may have
coordinator for the
sacked
Bills.
his tenure?
They,
Because
they
he
don't
came
have
out
a-
on fire.
they don't have a very good wide receiving core.
They have no wide
Saquon
receiver core.
Yeah, their offensive
Their number
line
one is Sterling Shepard.
yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
No.
He's a number
Sterling
3 on a
Shepard's
lot
not
of
number one
teams.
on all of
He's
the
a
teams.
slot usually.
Yeah.
And so you have Saquon Barkley still, and then I think you have a game manager with Daniel Jones. Their defense is not good enough to carry them against upper echelon teams. I think
And you got Darren Waller as a tight end, assuming he doesn't play a hide and seek act.
okay.
but
Well,
we'll
but
see.
you
If
have
he
to-
stays healthy the whole season, because he can never
Yeah.
stay healthy over in Vegas.
yeah, he has to stay healthy, and you have to actually get him the ball. And I think their defense is overrated too. And so now, granted, they're not, even though they did make the playoffs last year, even because they're the third best team in the division, they're not going to get too exposed by the schedule. But I think this is a team that grossly overachieved last year to the benefit of Daniel Jones, who got the huge contract. Because why? The Giants had no choice but to pay him. It's not an issue they wanted to pay him.
They don't
had
have
no
a backup
choice
plan.
but to pay him.
They have no one else to do it.
There's
had
no
Be
to
back into rebuilding mode if they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, they made
No
the
more
playoffs,
Fitzmagics
so
out there.
they weren't able to draft a quarterback unless if you felt for whatever reason, say, oh, I don't know, Will Levis was better than Daniel Jones, which I wouldn't be fully comfortable saying. But again, that the Giants, I think, are at a spot right now where they're probably, a mediocre 8 or 9, 7, 10 team. If you're Dallas and you want to be a legitimate playoff team and contend for a Super Bowl, this is a game not only you should win, I'll venture to say, again, I always hate to be the guy that says this on week 1, but I would almost go as far as saying a must-win game to instill confidence in your fan base and your franchise. This would be a really bad week 1 loss.
No, and even though it would be a bad, say they lose, to me, you lost in the Meadowlands, you lost in road. It wouldn't be to me as if it was a home game and you lost on week 1. I think that would be the worst case scenario.
It's still
However,
a division game. Those
It
are
is a
always tough.
division game. They're always tough. I still think they need to come in and they need to win, and they need to win handily. Like they need to win by 2 touchdowns
Yeah,
to
I
come
think
in
so
and
too.
show as a show of force of we are now going to knock the Eagles down off of their perch.
Right.
To do a bird reference there, yeah, because Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are going to be coming out full steam ahead. That's the team you're playing against. If you're going to win the division, you need to win against Washington and New York. That's what you need to do. And
I
you
don't
need to
care
win
where the
against them
games are played at.
handle
I
it.
don't care where
Doesn't
the
matter.
games are-
You have to win those games because it's between Dallas and Philly. And if you're going to step out above it, you have to win your division games. Because, anybody can win in a division game. Washington could be the worst team again, which I think that they will. And they could still beat Philly. They could still beat Dallas. That's just how division games work. So it's all very true. Let's go ahead and jump to a couple of the games that I think are interesting. And I think we talked about this earlier. We thought it was interesting. 49ers is in Pittsburgh for the Steelers. This one I'm interested in against because I want to see how Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy handles his second season. Well, only a half a season, but the start of an actual season as a starting quarterback. He's coming in against T.J. Watt in a very, very aggressive. It gets a little heated here in Pittsburgh with the Steelers,
And it's
and
a
I
home
think
game
that's going to
too.
be a
Those
big
terrible
game.
towels are going to be flying.
The terrible towels will be flying. They'll be going crazy with that. And to see how is he going? I mean, this is a battle of young quarterbacks because you've got Kenny Pickett in here in his second season, who's going to have the sophomore slump, if they're going to have a sophomore slump. But who's going to be effective with that? And then seeing these defenses, how are they going to? These young quarterbacks deal with these defenses because Pittsburgh still has a decent defense. They still have good defense going on.
You got Minka Fitzpatrick back there too. Don't forget about him.
I was just about to bring him up. He's still one of the best safeties in the league. He's still a ball hawk. And
now, to me, I'd say this is 49ers game. I'm a Brock Purdy believer, and I believe Kenny Pickett's a bust, even though he's had a good offseason and the hype's just there around him.
Well,
I just don't see
Kenny
him putting
Pickett
it together.
won't have to worry as of right now. As of this moment of this podcast, we don't know if Nick Bosa is going to be playing. We don't know if he's going to be there. So that is one thing. Yeah. Purdy has to worry about TJ Watt. Which don't remind me how the Cowboys passed on him for Taco Charlton. But anyways, we'll get past that.
I think it was the name.
However, you still got to worry about TJ Watt. TJ Watt's going to be playing. That's someone you have to worry about there. Pickett right now doesn't have to worry about Bosa. Now, yes, there are a lot of great defensive players on that 49ers defense, but they don't have D'Amico Ryans coaching them as the defense coordinator anymore. They don't have their best player out there. Pickett, if Pickett's going to show something, this is an opportunity he has right here at the beginning of the season to show against a team that everybody's picking to win the NFC.
Yeah, I say they're the favorite to win the NFC. The 49ers are. And the spread in this game is only 2.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's how close it is in Vegas.
I think one thing that I did really want to mention on this, although I know it's kind of elementary on the surface, but they started the first 8 games in 2021, 3-5. 2022, they started 4-4. Now, granted, they went to the NFC Championship both those games, or both those seasons rather, but in 2021 they had to go on the road every single time. In 2022, they had to go to Philadelphia at the end of last year.
Now they've also had Trey Lance starting both of those years.
Well, the thing is, though, I think there's a little bit of a pressure for San Francisco to actually start out the season good, because you don't want to be in a spot again to where you may arguably had the best team going into the game and then starting on the road in the playoffs. I think there's an expectation that you need to start winning some of these early season games, regardless of how porous your division is. Look, obviously you're in a division with Seattle, Arizona, the Rams, certainly not murderous row by any means, and they'll certainly win this division easily. But you want to make sure you try and get home field advantage for a change. And I think it's critical for Brock Purdy and the 49ers to get off to a good start, because I tell you what, I'm not saying that he is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy, or both of these guys are better quarterbacks than Brock Purdy, but it would not shock me in the least if San Francisco started off, say, 3-5. They don't look to Brandon Allen or Sam Darnold and say, hey, the keys are yours. They have better physical tools than Brock Purdy, hands down.
Well, Caleb's on the Brock Purdy bandwagon, as he's already said. He's a Purdy believer. But that's the thing is, if they go, as you just said, 3-5. Okay, and Purdy's looked terrible even in the wins. At that point, that's when you bring Darnold. But the point is that Darnold still hasn't beat Purdy out. He hasn't. He hasn't.
And he
So
got benched in Carolina.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's a possibility that could happen.
Oh, it absolutely is a possibility. That's a possibility for anyone else, any team.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that I think it's really critical that San Francisco starts off this season on a good note for a change. They really can't be in the business of going 2-3 to start out the season.
Well, I agree, and I think that this is a season where they actually feel confident at the quarterback position, because even when they had Trey Lance starting the last 2 seasons, they weren't sure of what they had. They weren't sure. Especially last season. Okay, he got injured. Are we sure he's going to finish the season? But we believe he's the best product we have, which obviously he didn't. And Mr. Irrelevant fell into their lap and played his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
And
he
has
outplayed the other
continued. So at this point, that's their weakness is at the quarterback position, honestly. And San Francisco, yes, they are picked to win the NFC, but it all bases on, can Brock Purdy do what he did at the end of last season for an entire full season? And that is a big risk. That's huge to ask. But at the same time, hey, you got a good defense. You've got Christian McCaffrey. You've got Deebo Samuel. You've got Brandon Ayuk. You got George Kittle.
So your skill positions are loaded, like you said, besides QB. And you've got that good defense. So basically you need that QB that can be a game manager, which to me, Brock Purdy is a great game manager.
Did we lose Jeff?
Yep. I don't even know why he dropped off.
Damn it, Bobby.
Right. What the hell, Bobby? Now this is a long segment.
Oh. Bill, because of this, I'm skipping Dolphins Chargers. I wanted to talk about it, but I'm skipping it. And I'm going Bills Jets, and then we're ending it.
Understandable.
It's 11:40 here. I'm getting tired.
Very true. We still got What the F with Jeff, Sports Gumbo, college football segment.
Where'd you go?
Actually closed out teams.
How did you accidentally close out teams? What the hell?
Okay, so yes, Brock Purdy.
No, we can't just glance over this. What the fuck?
How did you accidentally close out over?
Because there was a random pop-up and I closed out teams by mistake.
How'd you get a random pop-up? I don't even touch it. There's no random pop-ups. What are you doing? What porn are you looking at right now?
I'm not looking at porn. Damn it.
That's why I do all of my sports research on my phone right next to the laptop, and I leave the laptop alone to do the broadcast.
Yeah, or at least use 2 monitors. All right. So now go ahead. So, finish this up if you're ready, Mr. J.
Anyways, go ahead and do your random party because we're going over to Bills Jets. Go.
No, you.
So was it? Okay, well, in here, okay. So the last game that I really wanted to talk about here this evening going into the first round is the Monday night game, Bills and Jets. And there's going to be a lot. I'm glad this game's on Monday night. It's the premier game of the first week. With the Jets being on Hard Knocks, that's really brought a lot of...
Being on Hard Knocks, Dalvin Cook,
Aaron Rodgers.
They had the offense and defensive rookie of the year last year.
Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk there, and I mean it's New York. Yes, they play in Jersey, but yeah, it's the Jets and the Bills. You got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, everything that's gone on with Buffalo that they. Buffalo needs to prove they can get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl. They need to get there. The
Buffalo window is starting to close a little.
To me,
Stephon Diggs
Buffalo.
unhappy.
Well,
windows are
Stephon Diggs, if you don't win quick, he gets unhappy, and I think to keep him happy, they should have at least gone to the Super Bowl last year, which they didn't.
They probably should have been there, but
Buffalo to me is they're at a Super Bowl or bust. They're Super Bowl or bust right now.
1,000%. Yeah, Buffalo. Yeah,
Which
Buffalo's Super Bowl or bust. And unfortunately, the Jets are too right now with their fan base.
Which for Josh Allen that's rough being as young in his career that's what it is. But at the same time, hey, good thing. If that's your expectation, you're not just, hey, we just want to make the playoffs or we just want to have a decent season, winning season. But yeah, with the Jets, it's also Super Bowl or bust. You brought in Aaron Rodgers for that reason. That's why you brought him in. Dalvin Cook aside, they got him partly through training camp. You brought in Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl. Same thing when they brought in Brett Favre.
Right. Yeah. And I think the Jets are going to win the AFC East this year. I think the window is fully closed on Buffalo. I think the Jets have the best quarterback next to Joe Burrow in the AFC right now, and
bold
Patrick
statement,
Mahomes,
Cotton.
obviously.
That is. Yeah. I'm waiting to see when Aaron Rodgers starts throwing his random picks during the games.
Jets are gonna win this division. I guarantee you they're gonna win this division
over the Miami and Buffalo. And don't forget sneak New England. New England knows how to steal a game.
Dude, New England's going to be one of the worst teams.
They do know how to sneak a game.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, they do. The Jets are going to win this division. I'm 100% sure they're going to win this division.
My wife will hug you for that prediction.
No, 100%. I'll get a mohawk if the Jets don't win this division.
Oh. We've got it on on audio.
All
right, hey, I had a mohawk for years when I worked with the Grand Prairie Air Hogs. It's all right; they grow back really quick, that's something to worry about.
Jets are going to win this division. If they don't win this division, I'll be shocked. You
will. You also have a mohawk.
Yes, I will. Yeah. Okay. Fine, I'll have a mohawk and I'll put
it on. Said it. Don't say okay. Fine, I'll do it. You're the one that said it. You said you'll get a mohawk if they don't win the play.
I will. I'll get a mohawk if the Jets don't win the AFC East division this year. This team is just too good. I think they have one of the best, if not the best, running back in the AFC with Dalvin Cook now, and not to mention
they got Breece Hall back.
Breece Hall coming back. You still have. I think you still have. And again, even though he's going to be in a lesser role, I think Michael Carr could still help you out to an extent. And I think you have one of the best young wide receivers in Garrett Wilson. You have Robert Saleh leading the defense. The Bills missed their window. They fucked up. Okay? They fucked up and they missed their chance. This is the Jets' time now. The Jets are going to win this division. And I don't even think it'll be close. I think this team will win.
Ooh.
Will go 12-5. And I think they'll.
Wow.
I think they're going
to. That's a big record.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
The Jets are going to beat Buffalo on Monday night, and they're going to be in the next time they play too. This Jets team is really, really good. This is a great team. The Jets team, they're going to win the AFC East. Just watch.
And you hopped on that wagon quicker than you hopped on the Bengals defense wagon.
Easily.
And I
can see that happening. I can see all that happening.
Very good team.
They have the team, they have the defense, they have the mentality. That's the thing is Buffalo going to keel over? Is Buffalo going to just let it just go? Are they going to go, okay, yeah, our time's over?
And they still got Matt Milano, Jordan Pryor on that defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still got Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen.
Also,
and then you look at Miami where you have Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Tua,
don't
as
count out
long as he
that
doesn't get
offense.
concussed, that offense
Yeah.
looks good. It's going to be
This is murderer's row,
Yeah.
basically, in the AFC East.
and then you got
I
the
don't trust
Patriots.
the
They will
coach.
steal a game
don't
from
trust
you
Tua.
just to. Bill Belichick will steal a game from you just to do something
Stuff
illegal
his
and
nose
steal
at
it.
you.
You know, exactly.
No.
Just to knock you out of playoffs, to knock you out of position. So
Not this year. Not this year. I think also another thing, I'll make another bold prediction, is that I think Bill Belichick, this is going to be his last year in New England.
you think now? Do you think it's going to be his leaving or Kraft firing?
Well, I mean, they can orchestrate it to the point where it's Bill.
No, now you're being political. Pick one or the other.
No, I'm not being political. I'll say he's going to get
Are you
fired.
going to say Kraft? Yeah, there you go. I was going to say, you going to say Kraft pushes him out either way?
Well,
and just makes
he'll
him come
get
up and say
fired,
it.
but he's going to say that he's resigning. It'll never be to the point where they'd actually fire Bill Belichick. I'm not trying to be political. I'm just saying how it'll go down.
It's possible.
Well, there's a
Seat's
lot
gotta
of
be hot.
interesting facts here. I'm really looking forward to diving into all of what happens in this first week, talking some fantasy along with that as well next week as we get this first week under row. Really exciting aspect there. So we'll be back here in just a moment with everyone's favorite segment, What the F, with Jeff.
Oh no, we'll do it.
What the f? And welcome back from the break as we're ready to get into everyone's favorite segment, What the F, with Jeff. So, Jeff, what the F?
So this is something that's just been grinding my gears for a long, long time. It's not something that happened overnight. It wasn't a one-time deal. It's just something that really just stuck into my head this week, and I just finally got pissed off. I didn't say anything, but there's just because there's really nothing I can do. But the concept of sports bars showing what you actually want to see on the TV. I go to a sports bar and say, "Hey, Caleb, you want to go to the Ranger game?" Or Chris, when you lived here, it's like, "Hey, do you want to catch the Mavs game? Do you want to catch the Cowboys game?" And then you show up there, and then it's like motocross on ESPN2 for 2 hours. Oh, but it's ESPN because it has to be on there. It's sports. Oh yeah, I guess the Cowboys are on there. So yeah, we'll put sports on. It's like, oh hey, it's sports, and then you have to tell your woman. Sorry, yes, I actually will say this because usually
No, we're not apologizing.
The women bartenders aren't as informed as far as how network television and how sports broadcasting works. I just said it.
Well, what bar are you going
care.
to that they're not putting the Cowboys game on is what I want to know. Are you going to a
Especially the Dallas.
Steelers bar? Are you
So-
going to a Packers bar? Are you going to a
We
Bengals
do have a
bar?
Steelers bar that has
So-
good
so-
discounts, so we will go.
So this weekend, for example, I go to a local establishment in Addison where they have many establishments throughout the DFW area. They're known for very cold beverages and.
Are we going to get in trouble for
Playing
telling their
there.
name and giving them free advertisement?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they pride themselves in wearing scantily clad clothing in a potentially cold environment with freezing beer and all that
Well,
jazz.
I think they know the risks when they took the job.
So the thing is that I go there on a Friday night. Okay. I go to said establishment on a Friday night. I want to catch the Rangers. The Rangers are on TV. They're our local team. And there's 25 different televisions in this said establishment. 21 of them are on most random ass college football game when it's Central Michigan against Michigan State. Okay, yes, that's the game that's on ESPN. And yes, ESPN is the most universally accepted sports network. But I came here to watch the Rangers. I came here to watch my local teams. But nobody knows what the hell is going on. The bartenders are hired to work at a sports bar. I should not have to tell them what channel to change the freaking Rangers game to. And this happens to the Stars. This happens even with the Cowboys at times, as ridiculous as that sounds. But it happens with every single local sports team. So why do these sports bars project like they're a sports bar, but they don't know any freaking channels where to change the freaking games at? And if they do change a freaking game, like the Rangers game, why they bury in the back TV where nobody can freaking see it?
Am I guessing that this establishment Two Mountains?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought. This is what's normally categorized as a restaurant, and so the bartenders do not care about what sport is on. They don't even manage the TVs. They're only there to talk to customers and pour drinks. Same with the waitresses. As Caleb just stated right before I overtook what he was saying, it is on the manager of who is programming the TVs to which sports. And a lot of times, knowing from also working in that industry that I did years ago when I was a DJ at a country music dance hall in Dallas, Fort Worth, we would put it on whatever the manager would go, well, we'll just put it on whatever sports are going on. And I actually would tell him, no, put it on this game. This game is better because people are going to want to watch this game. Well, they can't hear it. No, they can't hear it. I'm playing music. I understand that, but they're still going to want to watch it. I know because I want to watch this game. This is a game you're going to want to have on.
Yeah,
and that's
like you
the
put the
manager
on. That should be common sense for most
well,
people.
At any bar that has TVs that's playing, whether it's a sports bar, a restaurant, it's Applebee's or Chili's or whatever, Buffalo Wild Wings, which is going to have more than anyone else. I mean, I don't know how many fights I watched at a Buffalo Wild Wings just because they put them on. But that comes down to the manager and knowing that, okay, this is the locality we're in. We should be playing the local teams and have them on a area to go at.
One of the main TVs too.
And being at that, this is one of those restaurants, Two Mountains, that the manager doesn't care about sports because he doesn't feel like his patrons care about the sports unless they actually ask for them. They're going to do the bare minimum and just put up whatever's on it. They're going to throw up ESPN because it's ESPN. Just throw up ESPN, it'll be fine.
That's also unfortunate about the workforce in general. A lot of people will do the bare minimum. Let them do the bare minimum.
Yep.
I mean, it's unfortunately a
so
thing.
Is this a statement on workforce in general?
This is a statement on the management of your establishment of choice.
Management of said sports bars and their ilk.
Because if
all sports bars though do this. Like if you're going to call yourself a sports bar, you got to have actual sports on. And then why are they doing
for all of them then?
Well, that also comes down to, okay, who's managing the establishment? Is it a manager that they've gone out and hired who has maybe a degree in the service industry, hospitality, and that they're going to put it on the basic channels and will then only then at that point, if someone asks, they will then change it over? Because I've never had a problem with getting a channel changed if asked. I
Sure.
mean, so I mean, in hospitality, they're going to go with what is the highest view, and they're going to go with ESPN because ESPN is easy to go to. That anyone knows ESPN, especially if you've been hired from another city to go work a bar at another city. You've been brought in, such as when I worked at said country music dance hall, and my manager was brought in from Nashville, Tennessee. He didn't know anything about Dallas sports. I mean, he knew about the Cowboys, but he didn't know what channels they were on, which is why I dictated what channels to put the TVs on to be able to make sure that we had local games going on so anybody that was there at the time could at least look up and keep up with the score. So there's so much movement in the restaurant industry that you don't know where these managers are coming from. Are they locally, through the company? Are they from the area? Have they been brought in?
Brother, who's like, come work for me and just sit in the corner and just.
Who doesn't care about sports? He just wants to sit there and collect a check. You don't know. But so it comes down to that. But they're always going to go with the easy ones. So yes, as you said, they're always on ESPN no matter what. No matter what. And that's because that's an easy channel to find. The way you have TVs nowadays, you don't have to type in a number. You don't have to remember the channel number. Because the channel number is different no matter what you go to. You just type in ESPN. You can search ESPN. Boom, put it on.
Yeah, the one good thing ESPN has done too is a lot of times their high definition channels are almost always around 300 to 303, and that's every.
Well, that's also that. Well, that's also in local. That's not in commercial settings.
Oh, I'm just saying, like they've got it where. They're 300 at no matter you go to Dish.
Well,
Spectrum,
I have YouTube
you know
TV.
Where to find
I have YouTube TV, and you put in it.
No, you don't have channel numbers.
It's all done by alphabetical order now,
unless you get a custom lineup.
Yeah, but the thing is, even then, with all of that,
I'm just saying,
yeah,
most
you
of
have
these bars don't have
but
YouTube TV. They're going to have the Dish and the Spectrum and the.
Well, a lot of them have that because they have commercial deals that go along with it, which is a different rate and a different segment than what it is with the regular. Oh, I got Dish TV, so I have a Dish now, and I have my own box. The commercial boxes are different. Now, maybe the stations are all the same. Yeah, maybe they are, but some of them are different. And yeah, they were 300 with DirecTV, but I know with Dish that I dealt with at different restaurants, no, it was like 245 or something like that it was for ESPN. Yeah, it was 245 for Dish at that time. It's probably something different now. I don't know because, like I said, I cut the cable, but there were two different ones. So if you didn't know, and I'm not going to expect some. No offense to any of the bartenders, but the lady bartender who honestly may not care about sports at all, who's there to she's there to make her money and doesn't care about what is playing behind her on the TV because she's too busy mixing drinks and taking care of her customers. I don't expect her to know what channel the game is on because she probably doesn't watch sports at all. The only time she probably watches it is while she's there because her customers are talking to her about the game. But other than that, she probably doesn't care. Maybe she does. Maybe she's a diehard Eagles fan. Maybe she's a diehard Jets fan like my wife. I don't know.
But should that be the level of an expectation, though? If you call yourself a sports bar, you should be able to accommodate every time without even asking. Or is that too much to ask now?
To me, if I go to a sports bar, I expect the basic level of sports, which would be ESPN, Fox Sports. That's what I would expect from a sports bar. It's the official Pittsburgh Steelers bar. So I expected if I went in there on a Sunday, I was going to get to see the Steelers game. So if I go to an official team's bar, I expect them to have a higher level than if I just went into a sports bar.
Correct.
So to me, that would be my expectation.
Yeah.
If I go to a
Unfortunately,
sports bar, I'm
it's
expecting
you're living
basic
in an
minimum.
ideal world where you're
Yeah,
like
but they
donating
better
apps and
have the
everything.
Steelers game on there. Is what I'm saying, though.
Well, yeah, if you
That's
go to a Steelers bar, you expect the Steelers game on. I don't expect the Cowboys on when the Steelers are playing in a Steelers bar.
right. Another example the other day, I went to a bar with Caleb and Richardson the other day. They were last Friday. They were showing the Astros the whole time without even showing the Rangers halfway through the game.
Well, don't blame them, as we talked about earlier.
I mean, the Rangers suck. I agree, but I mean, it's just like it's just like
Yep.
the
I wanna
local
see them.
team. I just don't understand why it's so hard for bars that are going to be showing sports to actually put on sports that people are interested in watching. I know
Well,
the demand
a lot
for
of
the
it co-
worker isn't there, but still, it's to me a demand for it should be a demand that they meet for the patrons that walk in.
It should be. It should be a local, like you put the local sports up there, but that also comes down to capitalism, supply and demand. If you're not providing what people are wanting, you're not putting it up for them for, then those patrons will go to another bar that will. And eventually, if you want to keep them there, you're going to change with that. So I think that's going to even itself out at some point. Because if people are coming in to watch a Ranger game, watch a Maverick game, watch a Stars game or Cowboy game, and they come in and it's not on, and there's some rando team on there, I think they may stay, they may ask and say, "Hey, can you change the game?" If it doesn't happen, they're going to leave. They're going to go somewhere else.
Right.
It's going to work itself out in the long run of, okay, if it's going to be a sports bar, they're going to stay in business by not playing local sports. I don't see how you do it, but hey,
But
they
is it
become
right to threaten the bartender? I'm going to leave somewhere else because you're not putting on my game.
Oh, I don't think I've.
Do I have a right as a guest to say like I'm going
Yeah.
somewhere else?
Yeah, you have the right to say it. I wouldn't. I would just walk out.
True.
Okay, but I mean, I would say
Yeah,
this:
yeah.
I have the right to walk out, don't I?
Oh, absolutely. You have a right to walk out from any restaurant, no matter
Well, I
what.
mean, I would say, let me rephrase that. Would it be a bad form for me to walk out?
Why
No.
wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. You're the customer. You decide what you want.
Customer's always right. If you don't like what the establishment is giving you, then why not?
But I feel like a douche if I do that.
Why would
Well,
you
that's
feel like
on
a
you.
douche? If you feel like a douche, then that's your feeling. Then stay there and suffer through sports you don't want to watch.
I know, but that's the problem, and that's why they suck you in. Or maybe,
No, they don't.
Maybe that's a problem with myself. Then maybe maybe
That one's
I
on
should
you, I
just-
think.
Maybe
But
that
maybe-
is on you.
I'll
because
walk out.
If I ask to change over to a game and they don't do it, I'll ask another time. And if it doesn't happen, then cash me out. I'm going to leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Because obviously you don't value my business, so I'm going to leave and give my business to someone else who would rather have it. Capitalism. I have the choice to go somewhere else. I'm not going to feel like a douche. I've walked out for less. Now, I didn't walk out on my tab. I paid my tab, of course. I'm
Well,
not
of course,
doing
yeah.
that. I'll pay my tab. Doesn't mean
Of
I'm going to
course.
tip.
Right.
I'm not going to tip very well. But it's rare that I've had a problem with a game being switched over. Of course, I don't go out late night anymore because I have children, small children. So I can't really go out and watch late night games. I watch them usually at home. But
Right.
when I was going out later, oh, excuse me, I never really had a problem with changing the game. I mean, there was very, very rare that happened. But if it did, okay, cash me out. I'll go somewhere else. I mean, That's what we have. There are plenty of sports bars out there. There's no reason to pigeonhole yourself to one.
Yeah, I guess a part of me still feels even bad, even like I go somewhere, then I ask them, even if they don't really do it immediately, I still like, well, maybe I'm the douchebag that's asking for them.
I think you're overthinking it. That's what
Because
I think.
I've been called a douchebag for asking them to change the channel before. I really have.
And I would have said
You
"fuck
walk out of
you,"
that
and
door.
I would have walked out the door.
Right.
I wouldn't have, if
They gave me a dirty look. They gave me a dirty look, and then everyone sitting next to me was like,
oh, at that
If
point
you
I would have
really
walked
asked
out. I would have
if you really asked them to change the channel,
politely asked to change the channel,
which
and
I
they
did.
called me a douchebag, I would have turned around and walked out. I wouldn't have paid a dime. I would have walked out the damn door without a second thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because if they're going to call me one, then I'm going to act like one.
Yeah, and I've been called one before, and I stayed there.
If it's unwarranted, then I'm going to earn it at that point.
Yeah.
Even against my wife's wishes.
I've been called that before for asking to change the channel.
Well, then, like I already told you what I would have done. I mean, that's up to hey, everybody listen. If you want to give us your reasons why if you've been called a douchebag for asking to change the channel at a sports bar, or if you would just flip the bird and walk out the door, go for it. Let us know what you think in the comment section, please, because we would like to see your responses so that we can figure something out along with that. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up What the F with Jeff, another great segment there. We'll come back and touch up on a little bit of the first week of college football here in just a moment. And welcome back from the break. Going to jump into another segment here. We've got college football. First week of the college football season has already commenced, and a lot of huge upsets happened this week. I'll go ahead and name out two of them here real quick. Colorado upsetting TCU.
Yes.
Big one there for Deion Sanders with taking over coaching there at Colorado with his son, who set a school record for passing yards. And another big one, Texas State beating Baylor, their first win against a Power 5 conference since joining the FBS in 2012. And
I mean, honestly, this is like
surprising wins.
It's like March Madness. Like you said, you got Texas State beating Baylor. You got Colorado, a 20-point underdog, coming in and beating TCU. You've got Florida State beating LSU. Granted, that's a much closer game, but
that was a
LSU
big win though by
up.
Florida State. Big win.
Oh, statement game.
They kicked their ass.
And Duke beating Clemson on like Monday night. The first time they beat a top 10 opponent in 34 years. 28-7, Duke beat Clemson. Just ridiculous.
Yep, and I watched part of that game, and I was really pulling for Duke to win that game, and very happy that they did. Sunday, do you have to bring out that Jeff's Oregon State Beavers getting the 42-17 win over San Jose State? Watch that game. Pulled that up and watch that one there. But yeah.
That was on the CBS. That was on big.
It was on the CBS. You're correct.
But yeah, just huge loss. That Clemson loss, that just showed Clemson is not where they needed to be. They should not have been ranked ninth to lose 28-7.
I mean, there was a lot of teams we kind of like, I'm not sure that team needs to be there. But
yeah,
true.
So
but that team should not have been there. And Duke has been decent the last few years in football, and they really
been okay. But man,
I said decent.
They owned that game. I mean,
they did, and they were all over Clemson from the beginning.
They got within the 3-yard line or 3-yard line 3 times, I think, and they had like a blocked punt or a blocked kick, a fumble, and I can't remember what happened the third time now. But I mean, they were so close to scoring, and then just basically only getting 7 points and giving up like a 44-yard touchdown run to Duke's QB.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe Duke's got something I don't see, but
Yeah, it's getting
they
to the
own
point
that
now
game.
where Riley Leonard might be an interesting little pro prospect, perhaps, with his mobility, and he's a
that is
huge.
possible.
I mean, he has his future in his hands.
Mhm.
He does. And to me, like everybody kept talking about the whole TCU lost to Colorado. This Duke lost, Clemson losing to Duke to me is a lot bigger loss than
100%.
Yeah,
that
no,
TCU
that's the upset of
Colorado.
the week for sure.
Oh, it hands. I mean, before that happened, it was TCU Colorado. Don't get me wrong, it was. But TCU was only a 17th ranked team, and Colorado, I believe, was ranked higher than Duke, even at
Yeah,
25.
I mean they were both
you know.
unranked, but yeah, I would say
They were both
Colorado was
unranked, but I would
higher
say
for
Colorado
sure.
would be higher, definitely. So,
Yeah. No,
to
I
me,
mean,
that
like I
was
said, I mean,
way bigger upset.
I expect Colorado to be in the top 25. I'm not going to lie at the end of the year. But at the same time, I think this just shows how much TCU didn't show up. The fact that he got 500 yards passing for Sanders' son as the QB. He shredded that defense. Meanwhile,
It was the
TCU.
Colorado. It was the school passing record.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he shredded them.
Very first game.
But at the same time, like I mean, TCU could have ran the ball. They were doing good running the ball, and they decided to pass for some reason and shot themselves in the foot and killed many of their own drives. But you've also got to give props to, and forgive me if I'm saying the guy's name wrong, Hurdle, playing offense and defense like Dion Prime did. Wide receiver
Travis
got
Hunter.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Played like 160 snaps that game. Something ridiculous.
That guy, to me, Travis Hunter. I mean, from what I saw, that guy, you can make a case for him being a Heisman Trophy candidate.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he had like over 120 yards catching with the touchdown, and then I think he had an interception on the defensive end with several good pass deflections as well. So I mean, phenomenal job by him as well.
He played 120 snaps. That game.
120. Okay, yeah, sorry. So 160 was a little high, but that's a lot of snaps.
It seemed like it got to the point, Caleb Bosley. I was kind of surprised. Maybe it is 160. I don't know, but I mean that guy played.
Right, it's a typo.
I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
Nah,
that's the best athletic performance. I'll say it right now. That's the best athletic performance I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like that before, ever.
Really?
Absolutely.
Even better than Bo.
Ooh. Well, Colorado does have another big game coming up. A lot of people wouldn't say it's a big game because it's against an unranked opponent, but they've got Nebraska this next week, and I think this is a really big, show you right here, right before they head into Colorado State. So, opportunity to go 3-0 before they hit Oregon. But
and this is sometimes one thing I hate about the start of the college season is almost everyone lines up what they think is going to be a cakewalk so they can start out with a win.
They always do. Everybody always.
And so it's
does
like there's
that.
just like not any good games to watch usually, but this upset, basically March Madness craziness, made it an awesome week one for a change.
No, it truly did, and a lot of good. It gave a really a good start. As you said, it really wet the taste buds for everyone who's been waiting for football. And, hey, here's some upsets. Here's something that really, brings some interesting factors into, coming into the college football tournament. So definitely great things to see about right there. Any of the games you guys wanted to jump into?
I think maybe.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think we may touch on it very slightly. I just wanted to readdress it again. Is that Clemson Duke game? I had Clemson as one of my college football playoff picks, and I never thought that Clemson was particularly worthy of that spot. But I thought their schedule was so easy, and they had, to me, I thought, or at least on paper, recruiting wise, one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Cade Klubnik, and he looked completely shell shocked the whole game. I thought Clemson was completely outcoached by Duke in that game, and then now it just shows you so much for the trade. I mean, it's one thing to transition when you have Deshaun Watson, then you go to Trevor Lawrence, right? But they went to DJ Uiagalelei, who's now Oregon State for now,
who had 239 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yes, he did
against San Jose State.
Yes,
Right.
who I think could be
with a little star on that.
Who could potentially win the Mountain West this year. So watch out for them. But my point is that I think the days of Clemson being an elite program are over. They will never get back to that level again. I think this is what this game showed, and I think it's devastating to the program.
It is devastating to the program to lose as a 9th seed to an unranked divisional opponent.
I'll say in 34 years since Duke beat a top 10 team, and it may actually be since they beat a ranked team.
And I believe.
So apologize if I'm misquoting that.
And that could have been when Spurrier was the coach, but that's a long story. That's a different story.
Mm.
But anyway, but yeah, really devastating for Clemson. And again, I just told the days of Clemson being a perennial top 5 team, those days are over. They'll never get back to that level again. They're done. And also too, when they have Florida State at home in a couple weeks, I don't care if they're playing that Clemson or not. I cannot envision a result to where they could possibly win that game. If y'all watch that LSU Florida State game, there's no way.
One of the best hits on a QB I've seen in a while too, when Caleb Daniels tries to go over top of Florida State and meets the Florida State player and comes straight down.
Oh my gosh, yeah! What a reality check for Jaden Daniels and that Brian Kelly team. And again, other than that 2-point conversion to beat Alabama last year, LSU doesn't really have much to show for their season last year. So LSU has a long way to go also.
Yep, and I'm not feeling bad for LSU because I've never been a big Brian Kelly fan. I wasn't a fan of him at Notre Dame.
I can agree with that.
I wasn't agreed with his fake Southern accent when he came to LSU and the way that he just kind of just bailed out on Notre Dame, just basically just left in the middle of the night and head out of there.
And he did the same thing.
It's because he knew he wasn't winning in Notre Dame.
Exactly.
Just skips and goes on.
Yeah, but the thing is, nobody talked about the time, but he did the same shit at Cincinnati when he left to Notre Dame 14 years ago. Did the exact same shit nobody talked about because he was leaving Cincinnati.
Because he was going to
Notre Dame.
He was going Cincinnati to Notre Dame, and that is an upward mobility.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's why no one was talking about it. But then now people are going to because it's SEC.
Very true. Well, I got one more game for you, gentlemen. Ohio State and Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
What's up? Sorry.
Ohio State laid an egg, didn't they?
They kind of did offensively, but their defense, giving up 82 total passing yards, 58 to the starting QB, and 78 rushing yards total. Their defense looked much better. Now, granted, this is Indiana, but that's not a bad.
They won by 20 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that offense should have been a little more crisper than what you would have liked.
Yeah.
Or wasn't as crisp.
If you told me that you held Indiana to 3 points, you should have dropped 56 on this team or 49.
I would have been happy with 30-ish, but yeah,
it was one more touchdown at that.
Laid an egg, but I think that defense kind of showed that it's a little better than it was last year, at least.
Well, also too,
they could win those closer games.
My Heisman pick and Marvin Harrison Jr. was a non-factor in that game.
2 catches
Ohio
for
State,
19 yards, I think. Remember?
yeah, yeah, and Ohio State really
Kate
had.
Stover though almost had 100 yards.
Was that because they keyed in on him and tried to shut him down?
Of course they did. But the reality is, I don't care if Indiana focuses on you at all. You need to destroy what Indiana.
Oh, I agree. It doesn't matter who focuses on you. If you're elite, you're going to come out and still dominate even when they focus on you.
Especially Indiana. So that's the issue I had. So
and let's
really,
talk about
Ohio
this passing again too. Like you said, the starting QB, Kyle McCord, 239 yards, 20 of 30 passing, no touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yeah, that was awful.
Not a good line either.
That's a horrible performance, and they'll have, again, typical Big Ten fashion. They won't play anybody for the next few weeks, and
not until they get to that Penn State trap game.
Well, also too, keep in mind, again, I'm not saying they're elite necessarily, but they do have to go to Notre Dame in 2 weeks.
They do have to go to Notre Dame 2 weeks, who is in the lead, but not a game you can look over. And looking at this game, I mean, Indiana, their quarterback, 8 of 15 for 58 yards. That's it.
As I said, the defense looked much better for Ohio State. So
and
I think that was the main worry coming in this year. But now you got a little worry about the offense.
Indiana, next to Northwestern, could be the worst team in the Big Ten. Probably them and maybe Purdue. But
you got to beat who's on your schedule.
Yep.
I know.
Win where you got to win.
I know, but Ohio State, that's not good.
It wasn't their finest moment, I'll give you that much. But I will say it looked like they have improved where the worries were last year. But now there's some new worries taking over the old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Marvin Harrison Jr. just give you his stats on that game. 2 receptions for 18 yards. He was the 3rd leading receiver in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's bad.
Kate Stover, like I said, almost had 100 yards, give or take. Yeah. And the running game's the only reason they held up. 143 total yards. Just look that up. So, well, the reason I know it.
All right. Were there any other games you guys wanted to bring up here before we end this segment?
I think we are good for now, but I'll be ready to go in full force reaction mode. Considering the Ranger season's over, we don't have to talk about it next week.
Oh yeah,
get out of
here! College football.
We'll see how that goes.
I don't want to bring the game up necessarily,
college football.
But I'd say the person that had the worst week in college football for week 1 is the Oregon Duck, because he had to do push-ups for 81 points.
Yes, he did.
So he had to do points for every touchdown, and then do it again, and then again.
Oregon beat Portland State 81-7.
Okay. Yeah. I think someone told me it was 256 total push-ups that the Duck had to do week 1.
I apologize. One game that I did want to bring up very, very, very quickly was the Texas Tech Wyoming game. Texas Tech started up that game 17.
Wyoming,
and they ended up losing in double overtime to
national
Wyoming
TV
on CBS.
Great
again,
game.
another
Great
random
game.
ass CBS game, but yeah, that's everyone was, especially locally here, was really amped up on Texas Tech, and that was a very, very bad loss to start the year. So
it was.
So not good for Tech.
Worse loss than to Duke, though?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. Clemson wins this week for upset.
No, Clemson wins that hands. Also, too, locally, another bad game. Texas State as 30.5-point underdogs beats Baylor on the road 42-31. That was not good.
I thought I brought that one up, but maybe I forgot about it.
You did. You brought it up when we started.
Sorry.
But Very,
Well,
very
anyways,
valid point still.
last thing I want to wrap up this whole college football segment is news came out this week that Cal and Stanford have been offered bids to the ACC. So,
along with SMU.
yep, with
That's
SMU
true,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Bring
SMU.
them all into the ACC. So that then leaves the Tupac,
Yeah, the Tupac.
Washington State and Oregon State left in the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 or the
Yeah,
Tupac, whatever you
so
want to call it.
so,
Which is funny. It's the Tupac, but there's no California teams left.
so, so
Not wrong.
Caleb and I think we were talking about this the other day, just in casual terms. But I'm going to bring this up right now. I think with that vote, the ACC screwed themselves. I think the ACC is done now, because I think what's going to happen is that Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, they're going to go to the SEC. And hell, they may have told NC State to make the vote so they could fucking leave. Because I just don't. Why would you stay in this league if you're Florida State, North Carolina, or Clemson? How does this benefit you at all?
If you're
Tell me how
if
this
you're in this
benefits
league, which is now one of the powerhouse leagues because the Pac-12 died,
Yeah, but
then-
the thing is, that's the thing.
I mean,
This
that's
is
how
not a
Clemson's
powerhouse
been a
league anymore.
dynasty. They've run the ACC. Florida State could run the ACC and be the next ACC dynasty
Florida
team.
State is sick and tired of carrying their fucking conference.
What do you mean? Clemson's been carrying that conference for so long, football-wise.
No,
Florida
but I
State
mean,
has
Florida-
not been good
but-
for
but what-
years.
I know, but when Florida State first joined, when they carried this conference for 30 years.
You mean the
or
good old
for
days?
20 years. Or over 20 years. Yes, they did. They kept that conference
The
afloat.
Jimbo Fisher years?
They kept that conference afloat. You can't do college basketball anymore. Again, this is all about college football.
I'm not disagreeing with you that they were good in the
It
past,
just
but I mean,
to me,
they're not leaving.
it seems weird having two California teams in the Atlantic Coastal Conference.
And
It
I
is.
bet you I bet you if this even, I don't even know if this is actually going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if like this thing just completely exploded. I wouldn't be shocked if
It could be interesting. SMU could get
Stanford-
in and the California teams stay out. Who knows?
well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like maybe they play a year or something, but I just don't see. Tell me why, if I'm a television network, why I would keep this conference going, especially if I'm ESPN. I believe the contract is through 2036. The only thing that would keep you going is Notre Dame.
Maybe. I mean, you can always
they-
sell Virginia Tech, Clemson right now.
So the only thing, again, and this goes back to what I was saying a couple weeks ago.
But that Notre Dame is just all other sports besides
I
football.
know, but they still play 5 ACC opponents every year in football.
They do,
Exactly.
They're not giving up that money in that contract.
But if Notre Dame were to join the ACC, they save that conference.
If
Again-
they would,
Yeah,
but
that's
they're
the if.
also
But ACC would do it to save their conference. To save the conference.
I mean, ACC would take Notre Dame right now, but Notre Dame's not going to go.
every conference would take Notre Dame right now.
I know that, but my point is.
No,
is
they
that-
would for the prestige. For the prestige.
No,
Not
every
only the
single
prestige.
conference. Every single conference would take Notre Dame.
Yeah, they would. They would.
It's just stupid too, but whatever.
They
Well,
would.
yeah, they're stupid too, but they're going to do it anyway because the
They
prestige and the dollars you get in because they are prime time every single Saturday. You know you're going to get that money in every
They
time.
have
It's a
been.
cash cow for that. They have been. They still are.
And they will.
Even when they
They
suck.
will
they still
forever.
are,
Even when
yeah,
they
but
suck.
That's not to
Even
say
when
if
they
they join a
suck,
conference,
they'll
they're going to keep the same TV
Oh,
contract.
yeah, no, they
Yeah,
will.
they're
That's
not.
the thing.
No, they're
if
not.
Do you make an exception then at the ACC and
Oh,
say,
yeah,
okay,
you do.
you keep
To
your contract,
survive-
join us,
Yes.
but
Yes.
hey, you networks
Hell
that want to pay for our
fucking
games,
yes, you do.
you can't have Notre Dame games.
Hell fucking yes, you do that.
Then who's
that's
going to
the only
sign
way-
their TV contract anyway? Nobody's going to sign a new contract
It's
with
the
you
Notre Dame
if they can't get the Notre
Conference.
Dame
It's the
game.
Notre Dame Conference if they go to the ACC.
We beat this to a dead horse last time.
We
No,
beat
but-
this we beat this horse over last time, where it doesn't matter what anybody else offers Notre Dame. NBC is going to match it and keep them with them, and that's why
Exactly.
they're not going to change. But anybody would change to have them in there. But we're not going to go. We've already run this one. All right. Any other hot topics you guys want to hit? Because it's about time to wrap this shit up.
Nah. I do want to end us on a good Rangers note since we kind of did leave it out.
Yes.
So Wyatt Langford has been promoted to AA. So our first prospect in the draft pick is at least looking good. So maybe we can call him up in a couple of years and he can be that hot bat we need, Jeff, late in the season to spark the rally.
I don't understand why
knows?
they're calling him up to Frisco. Just potentially ruin his confidence. Just let him continue to play well in Hickory. I don't see the point of playing him one more week of baseball at the
Maybe he's moved up from that point where he might have some better aspect of seeing this late in the league, late in the season, seeing a little bit of higher pitch ball, and it's not going to affect him. It's not like he's going up there for 3-4 weeks the rest of the whole year. There's not much of the year left, so he can go get some bats up in this higher up league, and then okay, let's see what happens. Is he going to be ready to go for this next year, or do we need to bring him back on that? I don't see a problem at it, especially late here in the year of just testing the waters. Hey, give him the sometimes you got to throw the kids to the wolves. See how they fend.
I just think I'm a little concerned. I would hate to ruin someone's confidence like this with such a good start.
If that's going to ruin his confidence, then does he really need to be in the majors?
Very true.
I guess.
Just saying. If you can't handle it in AA, then how do you deserve to be in the majors?
I'm just saying that I just don't see the benefit of it. Just don't see the benefit.
Well, I see what you're saying.
I'm not gonna freak out about it.
I do see what you're saying, but at the same time, I do see the benefit of getting these younger players in there because it doesn't hurt. I mean, the Yankees have been throwing younger players in to the majors just to see what you got. Eventually, you got to see what you got. You got to give these guys a chance. And if it's something low key where, okay, hey, we're moving a guy up just to AA, that doesn't affect what you're doing in your playoff section. It's not going to affect any of that at all. So why not let him move up and play against these lesser tier guys, which are higher tier guys than what he's been pitching against? Why not? Why not give him the chance? Why not? What does it hurt? It doesn't affect your playoff schedule. You're not going to play off your playoff, roster.
Well, you're not going to
make the guys ready.
Mm-hmm.
In your words. Anyways.
I got angry.
We know you got angry. We know we're here dealing with you. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and end the podcast here. Another great evening and another great session. Thank you both for joining us. Caleb, Jeff, thanks for joining us here tonight. Thanks for everyone for listening to us out there on the YouTube app. We'll let you know when we're broadcasting on other aspects. Right now, it's on YouTube at a Next Round Sports. So please look us up if you haven't. Send it to your friends. Let them look us up. Let's get the conversation going. Let's build this community of sports talk. And, we're glad to have you with us. So once again, for Caleb Glover, for Jeff Amos, this is Chris Porter. Wishing everyone a good night. See you next week.